Hi there, and welcome to Yin Yoga 50 Plus. If you're a golfer and you feel that the fairways are getting an awful lot longer, but your drives are getting an awful lot shorter, then just try these 3 easy Yin Yoga poses just before you go out or in the morning before you go. Just before we start, Yin Yoga is all about long held stretches, so you're holding the pose for 3 minutes or upwards, and I'll explain why as we go along. Now the first pose is called open wing, and I'll just show you how to do open wing and I'll explain what the point of open wing is. So if you go down onto your all fours from here and then come down onto your stomach, and I'll lean into the camera, stretch right arm out, left arm out, bring up your left knee, bring in your left arm until it's by your shoulder, and then push. And what you're doing, and I'll just come up and show you, but if you're in this position, hold the position. What you're doing is that by pushing with this arm, you're putting stress onto this shoulder blade, and you're putting stress down here as well. So you're opening up the shoulder blade. So back into the pose, and I'm putting pressure now on my right shoulder blade. Now as a golfer, you'll know that what happens is as your shoulders go round as we get older, then you cramp up, you won't be able to hit the ball as hard as you want to, or you won't be able to follow through as much as you want to. Just while I'm talking, Yin Yoga has 3 components to it, or 4. Component number 1, it should never hurt. You should never be in pain. If you find you're in pain, stop. Find another way of doing it, or another type of pose if you like. But here are the 3 important things. Number 1, find your edge. So right now I can feel that that's just enough pressure on my shoulder blade. It's pushing down on my shoulder blade. I'm relaxing all the way through my arm. I'm relaxing down by my elbow, and I'm relaxing on my forearm. So I'm opening up the shoulder. That's my edge is fine. Not too little, not too much. The second point is to find stillness. If I start to put myself in a pose, I'm stretching, and the idea is that slowly but surely, millimeter for millimeter, my tendons, my ligaments, my fascia, they're going to give, they're going to relax, and slowly but surely they'll open up and they'll increase the range of motion in my shoulder, in this case my shoulder. But if I start to come out of the pose, mess around, then I've lost that time under tension. If I lose the time under tension, basically, I'm losing the benefit. And the third point is play for time. If you play golf, you know what time is all about. But here, we hold long held stretches in Yin Yoga. Stretches of about 3 minutes and upwards. And the whole point of that is they normally say that it takes round about a minute for your shoulder to relax, for your ligaments to lengthen, for your ligaments to strengthen. So the longer you hold the pose, the more good it will do you. Now, I'm taking the time on an ordinary wristwatch here, but you can always take the time on your iPhone or your telephone or your watch, digital watch, or whatever, which way you want to. But try and go for about 3 minutes each side. Now let's say our 3 minutes on this side is okay. Let's just relax a little bit. Maybe bring my arm and just stretch it up in front of me a bit. So I'm stretching here. And then as a counter pose, I'm going to come up onto all fours with my arms under my shoulder blades, and using the arm I've just been stretching, I'm going to go and look at my fingers all the way up, and stretch around, and then looking at my fingers, come under and put my head on the floor and just stretch the other way. So this is what's called a counter pose. I'm stretching now the other way. And I'll do this just for a few breaths. And again, opening up the shoulder blade, both sides. The more you open up the shoulders, the more you can open your shoulders on your drive. Come back up again, and I'll just turn around to do the other side. So again, the other side. Down. If you want to make this more comfortable, by the way, then simply use a blanket. So I have a blanket there I can rest my head on. And I go down, stretch out the left arm this time, bring out the right knee, and use my right hand to stretch. So I play golf with lots of guys in my age, some younger, some older. But the one thing I notice is that they're all very stiff. They have problems swinging a drive, and the main places they're stiff are across the shoulders, which is what this is doing to help, and particularly around the hips and around the lower back. So what we're doing with this pose is we're starting at the shoulders, then we'll have a look at going down to the top of the shoulders and the lower back, and then let's have a look what we can do for the hips. But again, if you're a golfer, just pushing out the shoulder blades, relaxing the shoulder blade millimeter for millimeter, opening it up means you're going to open up and hit that ball that little bit longer, I'd suggest, than you've been doing. Again, the more relaxed you are, the further the ball will go. The stiffer you are, the less far the ball will go, which is pretty obvious, I know. But I watch golfers and they go out, they hit 5 or 6 balls on the driving range, go straight to the first tee and start. And it's just asking really to get injured. Another thing while you're doing this, and with something we talked about the other day at the golf club, is how can I not get excited, or how can I put myself in the best frame of mind for golf? One thing you can do is the kind of breathing in yoga where you're breathing deeply in through your nose, out through your mouth, controlling your breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. And again, let's say we've done the 3 minutes. So I release the tension here, put my arm back down on the mat or the floor, bring my knee back again, bring in my left arm, maybe just stretch it out a bit first before I go anywhere, in what's called flapping fish pose. When I'm ready, arms under, bring myself up. And what's interesting to see is how far can I stretch one side to the other. So again, looking at your fingertips, bring your fingers up. And I notice that the left-hand side, I'm a little bit tighter than the right-hand side. Bring your fingers through, relax, and just stretch the other side of the shoulder blade. It's an excellent, excellent, excellent pose. Opening your shoulders to make that drive go that little bit further. And when you've done that, if you just come up again onto all fours, and the next pose we're going to do is called child's pose. Now, child's pose is easy. First of all, most golfers can't do what I'm doing right now and sit like this. And if you can't sit like this, you definitely can't go down and spot where you're putting the ball. You cannot squat down, and this is the thing I'm doing here with child's pose. I'm going to open up the quad muscles, the back muscles, and this side of the arms here, what's called the latissimus muscles. And it's a super easy way of doing it. Now, if you want, you can use a mat to put up your knees, to put under your knees, and have your knees slightly apart, arms on your mat, or your blanket, or your bed, or whatever, and just push your bottom back. And when I come to here, I can actually just rest on my head And if you're in this pose now, stay in the pose, but again, I'll just come up and explain. Child's pose, you're opening up here along the latissimus muscles. You're opening up here around these big gluteus muscles, as they're called. You're actually stretching a bit on these quad muscles here, and you're also stretching your ankles. Now, just that ankle stretch, as you're in child's pose, is going to make life so much easier for you. As I say, if you're bending down to check a putt, if you're bending over and you're putting yourself in a position to go and hit that ball. And again, I'm breathing nice and slow, nice and deep. And the whole point of this slow, deep breathing is two. One is I can feel myself. I can push back further and further. And the second is I'm bringing down my heartbeat. I'm bringing down my heart rate. I'm not so uptight. And if you can think about this deep breathing, before you're going to play that shot, chip that ball, make that putt, then you're hopefully doing yourself a good favor. One thing you can do is I take a block. You can also use a cushion if you want. And now my legs are comfortable, but as I'm coming down, I can put the block of the cushion here. And that makes my head an awful lot more comfortable too. And again, nice, deep breathing. When I'm ready, I just push myself back up. And as a counterpose to this, I'd move myself forwards and backwards, just to bring back the motion here and here into your hips, into your knees, and even into your ankles, and into the tops of your shoulders. Now, the third pose I'm going to do is a simply called supine twist. And supine twist is a great way of making your body twist from one side to the other. And the obvious benefit of that, of course, is as you're twisting through the drive, you've got more opening in your hips. Now, again, I like to use a blanket just to rest my head, or I can put it onto my bottom. And supine twist, I simply come down. I've got the blanket to put my head on. I'm stretching my arms across, all the way across, and try and keep your head and your shoulders on your mat or on the rug or on the bed or wherever you are. Bring your knees up, and let's go this way towards the camera. So I simply twist around this way. And if I want to, I can grab hold of my knees and push. And you can see immediately the benefit of supine twist. Any golfer should see this, that stretching out the shoulder blade here, you're stretching out under the armpit, you're stretching out down by the hips, and just this twisting motion here of being able to have my hips one side, my arm the other, means that I'm going to be able to twist through the ball with much more power and actually use my hips. When I play golf with all the guys who are around about 70, none of them use their hips. They all have a tendency to just use their arms. And if you're using your arms in the golf stroke, the ball's going to go anywhere but straight probably. And it certainly isn't going to go very long. So if you do one pose before you go and play golf, this is the pose I'd suggest. And again, what I'm doing is I'm using my left arm to push on my right knee. I've got this shoulder on the floor. It may happen that your legs come up like this. Not a problem. The important thing is here, just let your legs slowly but surely come down as you're doing the pose. It's a lovely, lovely pose, not just for golfers, but for everyone. When you're ready, just come around, push yourself. I don't need to push myself up, but I will. I'll just push myself up because I'm going to turn around. But from where you were before, again, come down, both shoulders on the floor. I'm going to bring my legs this time, and I'm going to bring them this way, so to the right. So shoulders on the floor again, head on the floor or the mat or the pillow or whatever. And again, grab your legs if you want to. Now, if you find your legs are sticking up here somewhere, fine. Stick a blanket or a bolster or 2 or 3 and just lean on them. Now, the fact that I'm leaning on this bolster means that I can stay here for 3, 4, 5 minutes, as long as I need to. So again, checklist. Shoulders flat on the floor. Head on the floor. Knees, in this case, pointing right. And if you can, why not see if you can stretch your head or your neck slightly to the left. So you're giving your neck a stretch, stretching the shoulders, stretching down one side of your body, and particularly stretching here in the hips and down what's called the IT band, the iliotibial band, this big muscle that goes from the hip all the way down to your knee. Remember, the deeper you breathe, the lower your heartbeat, the lower your blood pressure, the lower your stress levels, the lower your cortisol, which makes you stressed, basically. And when you're ready, when you've had your 3 minutes each side, just push the blanket away and then come back to the middle. So I've got my knees pointing up at the roof. Put 1 foot on one side of your mat, 1 foot on the other side of your mat. Again, have your arms down, bring your knees together, and just by bringing your knees together, again, you're squeezing this part of your hips where you've just had them open. You're squeezing here into the groin muscles, the so-called adductor muscles. But what you can also do, just let your hips drop from one side up to the top to the other. And I notice again, here I'm a little bit tighter, to the top, down, down. Do this 3, 4, 5 times, as much as you want to, and you're opening the hips. And when you can open your hips, you can open up and really hit a longer drive or whatever kind of shot you're trying to hit. When you're ready, come round to maybe the right-hand side, roll around, use your left arm to push up and sit down. And now all you have to do is jump off onto T1 and hit that ball as far as you like. Hope you enjoyed this video, and if you really did, then maybe you can buy my book, which is called Yin Yoga 50+, especially for older people like us. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to the video, to my channel. Thank you very much. Bye.